Hi you guys. So today we're going to be going over percents as proportions and ratio problems. So it's actually quite simple to solve a percent this way, and some of you may already know how. This is going to be covering lesson 81. The geometry for this lesson is 1, 11, 18, and 20. For number 21, the rule for that is going to be multiply by 2 and subtract 1. Okay? Alright, so to our lesson. I have example number 1 started on the board. I have my givens. It said there are 40% of the people who had never seen, 40% of the leprechauns had never seen the pot of gold. But it then says 480 leprechauns had seen. So I wrote 40% equals the not seen amount, and I wrote 480 equals the seen amount. So these ones have not seen gold, these ones have seen gold. And then it asks to find how many of the leprechauns had not seen gold. So right here you see where I've written number that have not. Okay, so the way that you're going to begin this, now the book is going to have an actual box ratio, but I'm going to simplify it for you a little bit, and I'm going to write 2 lines. Think about what we know about a fraction. A fraction always represents parts over totals. Okay, parts over totals. So one side has to be the part, one side has to be the total, and on the other side it'll also be a part and it'll also be a total, okay? Part over total, so think about that. It makes it rather simple. Let's go back to what our find is asking. I want to know the number that did not. Now notice, it does not ask what percent did not, which when you're doing your givens and finds, you need to make sure you include exactly what it's asking. Okay, so what number did not? Well, here's a number, here's a percent. So I want to know the number that didn't. I right now only know the number that did, so I know the part that did, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to label this part. I want to know the part that didn't, so I'm going to say, let's say not seen, okay? So this is the part. Over here, I'm going to label this total, okay? So right now my part is the one that we're not, and the total is obviously the total, and then I'm going to take away these words. Now you can see that I have created a proportion that allows me to write the not numbers on top and the total numbers on the bottom, okay? Well, what do we know? We know that 480 were seen, but these columns are not my seen column. This is my not and my total. So if I put not here, that means the opposite of those were the ones that were. So the seen go up here. So I have seen, I have not, and I have total. Now I have created 3 columns, okay? So now let's fill in a few things. This column is your percent column, so we're going to put on top percents, okay? This column is your actual numbers, okay? So on the percent column, we're going to write the percent that we're seen. So over here, we don't have the percent that we're seeing. We have the percent that we're not seeing. So I'm going to start by putting in my not column 40 for not seen. So not is 40. Percent is here. Notice I didn't put the percent here. Okay. Then I'm going to say, okay, the total of all percents is always 100. So I can easily fill that in. Even though it wasn't part of my given, it's understood. So I'm going to fill it in. So now I have the part as 40, the total as 100, okay? The seen percent is going to be the opposite or the remainder of this. So I would say 100 minus 40, that gives me 60. And it's understood because we know that the 2 parts have to add up together to bring to equal 100. So I have 60 were seen, 40 were not seen, and 100 is my total. And remember, these are percents. This is labeled up here as a percent. Now let's go to your actual column. Actual column would be the same thing as numbers. Numbers are not going to be your percentages, okay? So for my givens, the only number that is not a percent is the number that are seen. So here's my seen column. I'm going to go to across from it and put the 480, okay? I was not given out any other numbers, so I can't put anything here in the not column, so I'll just put N for not. And I was not given the total, so I put T for total, okay? I have now created my proportions. So I have my percents at 60% were seen, 40 were not seen, and then the total is 100 because 60 plus 40 is 100. My numbers, which are not percentages, notice again, percentages over there, I took from here. So here's my seen column, I put 480 next to it. I was not given any other numbers, so I have to put a variable, n for not, and t for total. So that is what your proportion is going to look like. Now, in a proportion, we only need 2 parts of it. 4 of the parts of these. We don't need all 6 of these. So I'm going to take out only those that I need to create my proportion for the not seen, okay? So I go to my find, it says not, here's my not. That means I only need this section, so I'm going to rewrite it as not over total. That means I'm not going to use this part of it right here, okay? That's extra information, not over total. So then I'm going to say not was, here's my percent column, so let's keep it straight. We'll put percent here, we'll put actual here, okay? Then I'm going to put 40 for my percent, 100 for my total, and these are fractions, equals, now go to your not column and put the number, which was not given, n, and the number, which was not given, t. And when you write it that way, you should see that you have 2 numbers and 2 variables. Now, stop and think. We know that we cannot solve a proportion when it has 2 variables. So that means even though my find is asking me to look for the not, I can't use the not column. So I'm going to have to go back and use the numbers that are given, which are my seen column. So I'm going to actually have to change this to S for seen, put in the 60, and then change it over here to 480. Okay, 480. Now I see that I have 3 out of the numbers and 1 variable, and now I'm ready to solve. Just be careful because it's not answering the not question. This is the seen and the total. This is not the not. You'll have to do something else at the end for that. Okay, so we have 60 over 100 equals 480 over total. And we're going to say the way we solve this proportion is 60, 100 equals 480 over t. So we can reduce up and down, okay? We can reduce left and right, but we cannot reduce diagonally, okay? So 6 would cancel with 48. Let's see, 8 times, okay? And then we had already canceled the, oh, actually we had not canceled the 0, so we have to bring that up. So 6 goes into 48 8 times, 6 goes into, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. 6 goes into 48 8 times, and then bring up the 0, okay? That leaves 80 times 10, 80 times your 10, which equals 800. Now go back and see, what did you find? You found the missing letter, which is your total, okay? This is your total. So we used the proportion to find the total. Now we're going to take the total and subtract the seen amount. So 800 minus 480, and that's going to equal the not seen amount. So if we subtract both of those, that's going to be 8 minus 4 is 4, minus 80 is 320 were not seen. You have now answered your find. Okay guys, so that was one example. I'm going to do another video to show you the rest of the equations, okay? So make sure you watch the second part.